Hi, welcome to another video. Today we're going to use Terraform to spin up a couple of things in AWS. We're going to spin up a Lambda function and then an API gateway which will call that function. So first things first, we want to open the directory up in VS Code. There we go. Just give that a second. Okay, and we're going to first of all write our Lambda code. So we're going to keep our Lambda code in a directory called Lambda. Laptop's just having a bit of a go slow moment. Okay, and within that directory we then want a file. I'll just call it lambda.py. So we're going to write this in Python. There's not too much to the function, it's just going to return JSON dump. So we'll need to import JSON first of all, and then define the Lambda handler, and we want an event and context, and we're just going to return a dictionary with status code 200, and then the body, which will be what shows on the web page when we go to it, which is going to be json.dumps, and we're actually just going to return the IP address of whoever loaded the web page. So we want to look at the event, then headers, and then x forwarded 4. Okay, and that is all that we need in our Lambda function. So the next thing we want to create is the Terraform file. So we're just going to call it main.tf, and this is where we're going to create our infrastructure for AWS. So first things first, we need a provider, AWS, and we're going to give it a region. I'm just going to say EU West 1, and then we want to load in our Lambda function, so we need to have it as data, archive file, we'll call it lambda zip, and we need to give it a type, so we want that to be a zipped folder, and the source dir, and that's just relative to where we are, so that's just going to be lambda, and then output path, and we'll put it into a zipped folder, lambda.zip. Okay, so that should deal with getting our code zipped up, ready to be uploaded. And we're going to want to create an IAM role as well to run the Lambda function. So we're going to have Lambda, we're going to call it Lambda IAM, and then give it a name which will just be Lambda IAM, and then assume role policy, not what we want, assume role policy, and we're going to have EOF just to put it over a couple of lines, and we'll want EOF down here. Okay, and this is just where we'll write our policy that we want the IAM user to have. So let's give it a version just give it this version, 2012 10 17, and then the statement, which is going to be so we're going to give the statement an action sts.assume role, and then principal, and we want service to be lambda.amazon AWS.com. Okay, so we've got that, and next thing we want is the effect, and we're going to allow that so it can assume the role into Lambda. Just leave that blank, and there we go, that's our IAM user created. Okay, next thing we want to create is the Lambda function. So it's resource AWS Lambda function this time. Just call it Lambda. The file name is lambda.zip. That was our zipped up folder. And then we need to give it a function name, which we're just going to call Lambda function. You can call that whatever you like, and the role that it's going to use is AWS IAM role. Need to put that back. AWS IAM role.lambda IAM.arn. So that's selected this IAM role here, and then the handler is lambda handler, we called it. Now we need to provide this with a hash, so source code hash, but we can just get that from our data.archive file.lambda zip.output base 64 SHA-256. Okay, and the last thing we need to specify here is the runtime, which in our case we're going to use Python 3.8. So you can write, if you wrote that Lambda function, whatever language you like, and then specify the runtime here, but I wrote it in Python. Next thing we're going to create is the API gateway. So we want AWS API gateway version 2, and we're just going to call that Lambda API. Let's give it a name of version 2 HTTP API, and protocol type in our case it's just HTTP. Okay, need to create a few more things, so to link this up with Lambda. So the next thing is this resource AWS API gateway version 2 stage. Let's call this Lambda stage, we need to give it an API ID. Oops. So that's just going to be the ID of the API gateway we just made. So oops, AWS API gateway version 2 API, and then dot lambda API dot ID. That's not what we want, we just want dot ID. And then name, we'll just give it default. Auto deploy, we'll set that to true. Okay, the next thing is a integration, so resource AWS API gateway version 2 integration, and we'll call it Lambda integration. So again, we need to give it an API ID, and that'll be AWS API gateway version 2 dot lambda API dot ID again, and then integration type it's going to be AWS underscore proxy, all uppercase. Integration method post, and then integration URL is going to be our Lambda function called Lambda, and the invoke ARN pass-through behavior. We'll set that to when no match. Okay, just a couple more resources to create before we try to deploy this. So the next one is a root AWS API gateway version 2 root. This is a Lambda root. Oops. And again, we need to give it our API ID. Just copy that from up there. And then we need a root key, which is going to be get, and then / and in curly brackets proxy plus. Target is integrations, oops, spelled completely wrong, integrations / I'm going to use a dynamic variable here, so AWS API gateway version 2 integration dot lambda integration dot ID. Okay, and just one last thing now, which is going to be a Lambda permission. We'll call it API dash gateway, GW for gateway, let's call it. And the statement, oops, ID will be allow execution from API gateway, and the action that will have is Lambda invoke function, so the API gateway can call the function, and the function that applies to is going to be our Lambda, AWS Lambda function dot Lambda, which is what we called it, and then the yarn. We don't want that. And then principal will be API gateway dot Amazon AWS.com, and the source yarn is going to be our API gateway. So we want AWS API gateway version 2 underscore API dot Lambda API dot execution yarn, and then we're going to just do /wildcard /wildcard. Okay, and that should be all of our Terraform code written. So we save that, and let's open up a terminal in here. Got quite a lag on my laptop, so apologies. So let's try and run this. There might be some things we need to go back and fix, but let's first of all just do this is got a massive lag. I'll just try open that again. So first thing we want to do is try and format that. So let's do Terraform format. There we go, it's lined those all up a bit nicer, sorry. And then we want to do Terraform plan. So before we do that, we need Terraform init. That's just going to install the provider. Give that a second to run. There we go, that's installed the provider, and then we want to try doing Terraform plan. Just pause it while that tries running. Okay, so there's just a few little errors. Hopefully this is all, but pass-through behavior is misspelt, so let's go and fix that. Where's that? Line 56. There we go, that should be it. And then integration URI, I think I put URL. And this EOF shouldn't be indented. It should be at the start of the line, and I think that should fix those errors. We might get some others though, let's see. Okay, we got that error about the policy again, but I've noticed there's no quotation mark here. I think that's the L it's talking about. So again, we'll just change that and then quickly run Terraform plan. That fixed our last error, so ready to run Terraform apply, and that should spin up the API gateway and the Lambda function. So I'll give that a moment to run, and then we'll have a look at what it looks like in the console. Oh, it's just asking me if I want to perform the action, so I need to type yes. and it's had an error in creating the I am role. That's because this should be a colon, not a dot, so well done if you spotted that. But then we'll need to just start again, so Terraform plan, then once that's done, Terraform apply. Okay, and eventually we've got apply complete. It's only added 5 resources this time because I think 2 were still there from the previous run, but let's go into the console and have a look at that. So I've signed into the console. Let's go to Lambda first of all. And we should see the function which we uploaded. Sorry for extremely slow laptop. Give it a moment. And a few moments later, our Lambda function should come up. Okay, so there we go, last modified 1 minute ago, Lambda function. Okay, we can click onto that, but it's going to take a while to open. I'll pause the video for a second. Okay, so that's opened up and we can see our code here. Very simple code, and you can see it's been triggered by API Gateway. So if we go to API Gateway now, and this version 2 HTTP API, this is the other thing which we spun up with the Terraform code. There we go, and let's go to the URL which invokes this API gateway. So this is an example of a serverless website, and we have got internal server error. Why is that? Let me have a little play around and see if I can find out why. Okay, so after some reading about the internal server error that we were getting here, not here, sorry, that we were getting, that we were getting here is to do with if our Lambda function doesn't return a status code in a body. So I had a wee look and I mistyped status code. So the simple error. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this in the Terraform, not the Terraform, sorry, in the Lambda here. I could just change it on the console quickly, but I want to change it here so that if we were to redeploy this in for anything else, it'll redeploy it correctly. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to run Terraform destroy, and I'll plan and apply this again, and I'll show you once that's done. Just noticed status code should be lowercase s, so there we go, change it to that, and then I'll run that. So I made those changes and redeployed it, and there we go. When we go to the URL in API Gateway, I'll just show you again, load that up there, we get our own IP address back. Okay, so you could put some front end on this, and maybe we'll do that in another video and make a nice website, serverless, which returns the user's URL when they go to it. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry there was a few issues there at the end, but I hope you enjoyed and managed to follow along. Let me know if you've got any questions, and please like and subscribe to support the channel.